The Game Time Network is proudly sponsored by Matt Gaddis at State Farm. If you need help with car or renter's insurance, Matt Gaddis has you covered. And we are also powered by our friends at Wire to the Nines. For any low voltage needs, reach out to them via email at wiretothenines@yahoo.com. And don't forget about our friends over at Bigsy Sports Grill. If you're looking for a great time and some great food, head over to Bigsy Sports Grill on Brookville Road in Indianapolis. Thank you to all our sponsors for supporting the Game Time Network. Hello, everyone, and welcome to a brand new episode of Side by Side, episode number 2. We've got a great episode for you guys today. We are going to be recapping all things in motorsports. Once again, obviously, we'll be talking about the big three. We'll be talking IndyCar, Formula One, and then obviously NASCAR. The title of the video, we'll be talking about Denny Hamlin's win at Las Vegas. We'll also talk about the race at Las Vegas, as it's been a little mixed reviewed of, you know, some people are saying it's the worst race of the year so far. I don't know if I'd go that far, but we'll talk about it here in this one. Brandon, great to have you again in studio. It's going to be a great conversation, so I will once again give it to you. I'll give you the floor. Where do you want to start us?
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thanks for one down. Here we go on episode number 2. I saw some mixed emotions kind of throughout all 3 series this past weekend on Twitter, which, as I tell my wife, if you look for something on the internet, when you research something, you can find it on either side, right? The good and the bad on it all. So, but no, IndyCar, I like to start with IndyCar. Overall, first time at this track in Arlington, not your normal road course. It was a street course, man-made, created off the streets in Arlington. They moved up the race because of the winds. It was supposed to start like 3. It moved up, I think, 3 hours, 2 hours earlier than it was supposed to be. It was like a 11:30 Eastern race, 10:30 Central, there in Austin or in Arlington. But overall, great reviews. Everybody that I'm seeing from it, giving great reviews on the racing itself. The crowds were jacked. The crowds were heavy. I was nervous how that crowd was going to be because just up the road, maybe 15 minutes or so, is Texas Motor Speedway with the oval racing. So it was good to see them come out and experience something other than the old oval that they have at Texas, which that one is that they should have always kept that one to me. I love that track, that race every year. They had it. I remember back when Arie Luyendyk back in 1997, him and Buddy Rice and all these guys are they're 3 wide going into, for 2 straight laps of 3 wide racing. That's awesome, right? That's our true side-by-side racing. But no, Arlington, man, they shelled out there. Great crowds. I think they were a little jam-packed together, right? Yeah. So they didn't think logistically. They thought they'd have a good crowd, but I think that'll be even better for next year's race. They'll be able to space it out a little more for viewership and put some stands in some spots that were great passing areas that they didn't have previously. So, yeah, looking forward to that. But Andretti Racing, man, what can I say? They kind of came out for this one here and did well. Kyle Kirkwood gets that win. Yeah. Pelot, he is human. Finished second place. Some people say, hey, he's dropped off, man. He finished second. Just relax, everybody. But no, Andretti drivers were 3 drivers in the top 4. Marcus Ericsson, good to see him have a good run. And then Will Power with his issues he's had early in the season. Kind of good to see him bounce back a little bit from what he did. But yeah, I wrote down some of my notes. Great crowd, great response. A much needed off week coming up. This is the first time they've had back-to-back races, 3 races in a row to start a season.
Yeah, usually
So good time for them to take a week off, reassess before they head down to Barber Motorsports Park in Alabama.
Yeah, no, I thoroughly enjoyed the race, and like I said, I think out of the 3 big motorsports, this is probably in my 3rd slot. But I was interested in this race, and yeah, I agree. I think the crowds look great. I think the presentation, you can really tell Fox is pushing IndyCar a little more. NASCAR, it feels like, we've had this thing for years. They're really pushing IndyCar. And not only that, I think one of the biggest things right now with both of them being on the same network, is the broadcast crew. I think the broadcast crew for IndyCar is 10 times better right now than the NASCAR Fox crew. And I think it's the analysts with Will Buxton. I love Will Buxton for his F1 coverage. And then not only that, just his motorsports knowledge. Buxton is great. And then obviously Townsend Bell. And who's the other guy in the booth?
Hinchcliffe.
Bell and Hinchcliffe do a great job. Talking about throttle control, talking about everything racing. They do a really, really good job. Where you look on the NASCAR side of things, Boyer and Harvick are all right. I think Boyer does a little too much joking. I like Harvick in an all-around role. I don't think he's the strongest in the booth, but what he does on the podcasting side of things, I think makes him really strong. Once he's in the booth, I think he's gotten better as time goes on. But you look at the difference between the two booths. IndyCar's booth is what really, even like when I was watching the race live, kept me really engaged, because they're always talking about the car and just everything going on. So I thought the broadcast was great. I thought the presentation was pretty good by Fox, even though they've been criticized on both sides already early in the year. But this is an interesting championship, right? Obviously, Kirkwood takes the championship standing. I'm going to pull that up on the screen for everyone to see. Kirkwood takes first. He's up by 26 points, it looks like. And then after that, you've got Palou, you got Pato O'Ward and Newgarden tied for third. So the standings are really close here in the early going. Obviously, everybody still thinks Palou will win the title. I am probably of the same. I'm a bit of a Newgarden fan, so I'd like to see Newgarden get a little closer there in the fight, but he's not far off. What are your early impressions here on the standings?
Yeah, if I'm shocked 3 races in, if you tell me Andretti was going to be on top of the standings, because they have taken a step back over the last few years, right? Just in general, it didn't work out as much towards the end there with Rossi and all them. But you look at it. I look at Penske, 3, 4, 5, the position, or 4, 5, 6 position themselves very well. You have to stay in striking distance of Palou, right? He's the most consistent, and that's what the key is to a championship, is being consistent with podium finishes, if not wins. So as long as they can stay that 7 points or so away from him for a couple of them, and 8 points. So or 15 was it? I guess I was looking behind the leader. Let's see. Well, Newgarden's tied, then we're back 8, and then 9 points. So just stay in contention. And I know it used to be, the Indy 500 used to be double points. I don't know if they're doing that anymore. I thought last year they changed the rules where it's not double points anymore for the 500.
I don't know.
But I mean, I know you get, listen, I like how NASCAR, I love how IndyCar is adapting with the weather as well. And hey, if it's going to be shitty, let's move it up a little bit.
Yeah,
especially those high winds that we're having in Arlington, and hell, it was everywhere this past weekend. I was trying to play golf Sunday, and it was 60-mile-an-hour winds in the morning. But I kind of like how they're adapting with that. Points race looking great. Can you bring that up one more time? I'll pull down to the bottom. I just want to see if we have anybody. And shame on me for not knowing ahead of time.
I mean, you got Power and Dixon down here, which is interesting for sure.
Yeah. Power.
I mean, they're not down. They're not down there. I mean, they're in the top 15, but
I'm just seeing if there's anybody there that's a surprise for me. Ferrucci, I kind of thought Ferrucci probably would be a little bit higher than where he's at right now. If you placed your bet on Grosjean to being involved in a crash, you would have cashed your bet this past weekend. Not that it was his fault. Noah Siegel kind of sent it in there on that, but overall, I think. I kind of like what I'm seeing there. Rossi and them kind of in the Middleton there. So, I think there's no real surprises right now where the standings are at. They did mention yesterday, which is good. We're recording a day later. Helio Castroneves drive for 5 will happen this year. Again, Meyershank Racing did sign him to a deal, so he'll be returning. I know Connor Daly's coming back for a one-time race, Indy 500 as well, a one-off. So, we're starting to get the field now for the Indy 500, which is very exciting. That stuff's starting to come through.
I got to watch Helio win in 2021. I got to watch that Indy 500, one of the better finishes that the 500 has had in the last couple of years. But man, only in Indiana could we go from sunny to tornado watch warning, and then to snow on Monday. So hopefully the weather is good come the month of May, because March has been a bit chaotic this week. So let's move over to
Formula One this past weekend was in China. Yeah, overall, man, and I can't wait for him to come back on, because I have concerns after what I saw this past weekend there, as much drivers do as well. There he is. He's back. You're clear. I love it.
I don't know what happened. So the Wi-Fi knocked out my power. In the mornings, it's been in and out, and then it comes back for some reason in the afternoon. So I'm on my hotspot on my phone. So okay. It's a little shaky at the moment. But what were you saying about China?
No, I said it was a great race to see out there in China, but I have my concerns, man. Like we talked about it last week. We had 4 total cars that failed to even start the damn race. My team that I like, McLaren, egg on our face. Holy cow. We got one car that can't start for a loss of 50% loss of battery power. You got another one that had a mechanical issue. It's embarrassing, man. It's embarrassing. I know they put an inquiry investigation with Mercedes engines. Egg on the face for my McLaren boys this past weekend when you can't even get started.
Yeah, and looking at the standings, obviously Mercedes kind of running away with it at the moment. Russell first, Antonelli second. It's a bit of a runaway so far. And, everyone's talking about the regulations. Obviously we're in the second race in. People still aren't happy about them. I don't really have much more to say about the regulations at this point. I think the biggest thing is, can Ferrari do anything to keep this close? Obviously, they're running in those third and fourth spots, which is good. But eventually you got to win some, and you got to make sure Mercedes isn't always first and second, or this championship's going to get away from you really fast.
Do you think I don't want to say cheated the system or found something, but do you think these two teams may have found something that the other ones haven't, or they bent the rules to where they're still following them, but that razor edge?
So heading into the season, I know there was a lot of talk about Mercedes engine, right? It was something about a lot of air was getting to it, or something along those lines, and the FIA approved the engine regardless. They didn't, teams were wanting them to make a change. They didn't make a change. Now, what is being investigated, I believe, by the FIA is all the other teams with Mercedes engines aren't doing as well. Some of the engines have actually blown up. So that's been one of the other conversations. I think what happened is last year, both of these two teams threw the season away early. I very much think that, and they said, all right, we're going to focus on this year. And not only that, these regulations are more similar to the regulations before 2022, and that's just Toto Wolff's playbook. That's Mercedes' playbook. They know kind of, they're getting away from all the ground effect regulations. That's their wheelhouse. So it's not surprising that they're this good. I think both Mercedes and Ferrari took last season off. Honestly, Red Bull may have took a little bit off too, but they were still competing, obviously. But I think these two teams said, okay, let's get ready for the regulation changes. Props to McLaren. They went out and got themselves a drivers and constructors title. But now at the cost of that is, I don't think they're as prepped for this season as they wanted to be, which is okay. You got a championship last year, but now you're kind of back where you were a couple of years ago, where you're kind of mid-pack, but you're also like, it's a weird place to be in, because I don't think the mid-pack is that close from each other. Red Bull's not as good as McLaren. McLaren's not as good as Red Bull. Like, it's just a jumble of teams. I mean, if you look at it, Ollie Berman is the 5th best guy in the driver's
I was going to say, shout out Haas.
Props to him. He's done great so far. Berman's doing really good.
Yeah, 100%, especially how much issues Haas has had over the years, that you see that's been documented on the Formula One show. If are you enjoying watching F1 right now? Because if you are, you don't know true racing. That's what Max Verstappen said after the race on Saturday. He says it's a joke, and it's like Mario Kart out here.
Leclerc said the same thing. I will put it like this, because Kevin Harvick said it on his show with Buxton. He said, I think there's a mental side of it, right? And Harvick talked about when he had to adjust to the next gen car and stuff like that. I think Buxton or Harvick made a good point on the recent episode where he said, you kind of just have to adjust. Is he in there talking with the engineers? Is he just whining about it, or is he in there trying to solve certain problems? For example, like at the start, the Red Bull is horrible at the starts. What is he doing to get in there and make the car better? Telling the engineers what he feels needs to be improved or something like that. And then the other thing, comparing his mentality to Lewis's, right? Lewis very early in Bahrain testing said, I've had my hands all over this car. I've been working on this car side by side with the engineers all off season, and it goes to show. I mean, the car is way better than it's been in Lewis's first year now. So, and obviously, right, and Buxton, kind of jumped in after Harvick said all that and said, look, it's also the two teams at the front that are saying that they love this car. Now, if they weren't doing this well, what would Lewis and Leclerc say? Because if I remember, a certain Lewis Hamilton said at the start of the season that he didn't like these regulations. So I'm not
giving Max Verstappen sour grapes because he's used to being up front so much that now he's starting to be with the rest of the competition.
I'm not giving Max all the criticism. I'm not saying Lewis is this much better driver than Max. I think Lewis has kind of shifted his mentality a little bit, and I think Max probably needs to do the same. But Lewis, you also had problems with these regulations as well. So I'm not completely just putting all the blame on Max Verstappen. I don't think the racing has been that bad. And honestly, I think a lot of F1 critics need to understand the racing has been pretty bad for a lot of years at this point. I think the drive to survive popularity is wearing off a bit. It's what really made people stay through the racing. And I think some people, I just find it interesting. Formula One fans will be like, man, did you see that battle for P6? It's like, I'm like, as a NASCAR fan and an IndyCar fan, it's like, if the battle for the lead isn't exciting at all, it's definitely, I'm tuning out. I don't know. That's just me though.
Yeah. And I will say it's not an equal to it, but with NASCAR racing online that I've been doing in the past on the old series that we have, like if you weren't racing for the win, it was boring and you were just kind of going through the motions to finish the race. With the new one that's through iRacing, dude, I'm battling for like third, fourth, fifth place, even seventh place with people, and you're invested in it the whole time. So it's like I see where like, hey, some of these battles, man, last night we ran a 75% race at Vegas. I ended up taking the dub, got the win. Short pitted the last pit stop, and got back out there and gained some position. So it was cool. It was fun. But yeah, it's those other battles on the track. Racing is more than just the win, right? It's if you're just focusing on that, you're missing the whole perspective of racing, and you're probably missing a lot of storylines as well with it. So, I'm curious now with F1 because they mentioned that they got 2 races that they're kind of holding off on because of all the war that's going on.
They're canceled. They announced that Tuesday, I think. They're canceling those.
Do you find new tracks, or do you just kind of say at this point, we're gonna throw off on this?
It looks like they're just gonna not do them because I know for Formula 2, 3, 4, or I don't think there's a 4, but and then the driver academy. There's going to be like a month in the season where they just don't race. Now, I don't know if that'll be the same for F1. I hope not. I think obviously I know IndyCar does breaks and stuff like that. Formula One, I don't know how, they never really, they have like a summer break that they do usually. So, I don't think it'll be that much of an adjustment. It will be a little weird. I understand why they're doing it. I don't think they'll go to any other tracks. But we'll see. I could be wrong if they do go to other tracks. The plan is just to not do those races or those rounds.
Okay, cool.
So, for sure. Speaking of Vegas, NASCAR went to Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Yeah. No, it'll be interesting. NASCAR went to Las Vegas this weekend. Denny Hamlin, emotional win for him. We're going to get into that a little more. But, Brandon, I want to ask you, I watched not the full race, but I probably watched most of I probably missed the end of stage 1 and then 2 and 3. I thought the race was okay. If you ask me right now, I think it is the worst race of the 4. First, Daytona third, and I'd probably put Las Vegas fourth. I thought Las Vegas was going to be a great race. I think it kind of was underwhelming a little bit. I think a lot of people want them to put more horsepower. Obviously, they put more horsepower for the road courses than the short tracks. I wish they would do that with the intermediate package as well now, because I think it would be benefit. I mean, more horsepower the better. I don't know. I don't know why NASCAR is so hell bent on not putting more horsepower in the cars when the manufacturers have came out and said, "Hey, it wouldn't cost much. We can put as much as they want." They just don't want us to. So it's like, just put 800 horsepower in the car like it's 2014, and I promise you're going to get great racing. Because 2014 is still my favorite year as a NASCAR fan, which I know that really comes after my age and how young I am. But I mean, 2014, I think it was 850 horsepower in the cars. They could run side by side on the intermediates. It didn't really matter what track, except for Texas, because it's always been a bad track. But other than that, I really wish they would put more horsepower in these cars. I'm kind of getting away from the point, but I thought Vegas was a great race. Me and you had Larson or Bell. Bell's car started to fall off around the middle of stage 2. But Denny Hamlin, I mean, Harvick was saying it on the broadcast. Apparently, Hamlin felt good about that car coming out of qualifying. And clearly, Toyota felt good about their cars in general. They were 1, 2, and 3 to start the race. Ty Gibbs has looked pretty good at the start of the year. But Denny Hamlin, emotional win from him after a turbulent offseason, losing his dad in the fire, winning the lawsuit. It was great to see
his
him
mom
get
there.
that win. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And his daughters. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, you can see how emotional it was for them as well there. But yeah, good to see his mom. Good to see Denny back in the winning circle. I know not everybody likes Denny Hamlin, and he can wear on you after a bit. But man, enjoy what we got it now, right? Because we're not sure how much longer he's going to be around for it. And I really truly hope that this is the year that he gets the championship. But we'll see with that. Overall, man, I like Vegas. I like the race. I put it higher. I put it better than Phoenix. Yeah, I like it better than Phoenix.
I thought Phoenix was good last week. I didn't think it was horrible. I forgot about Phoenix. Wow. I don't know. I thought Phoenix was pretty entertaining more than Vegas. Maybe because the battle for the lead was there and Blaney had to come back from behind a lot. I don't know. I think the big thing right now, a couple races in, is, man, I'm very impressed. Your guy Chase Elliott, he's gonna be in the mix all year. I mean, all year he's gonna continue.
Good run.
Because he doesn't have to. I mean, he's gonna have to win at some point, but he is consistently finishing the top 10. He's got 2 top 5s or 2 top 5s and 3 top 10. So in the first 5 races, he's been there every stretch of the way. Denny Hamlin, the same thing. Christopher Bell, 3 and 3, 3 top 5s, 3 top 10s. So it's been a great rate. It's been a great season so far for those 3 guys. Hamlin sits 4th, Elliott sits 5th, and then Bell sits 6th. I'm going to pull up the standings right now so you can get a look at those as well.
Yeah, I thought, like I said, Chase, my guy, I thought he had a great run there. He usually runs okay at Vegas, but I like the type of – there's 3, 4 different lanes there at Vegas that you can kind of run. Yes, more horsepower would be nice there for it. We talked about last week's show. I went back and listened on race day this past Sunday. I listened to our show again. I said Chase Briscoe needed to have a better run because he was falling back in the standings. And what did he do? He went out there and had a top 10 finish, finished 8th. So much needed for Briscoe. Yeah. And you need to kind of build on that right now. Bubba still staying up there. Obviously him and Reddick are still kind of the darlings of the ball up there. And just look how many Toyotas there in the top 10. Half of that top 10 is Toyotas. So
insane.
Very impressive there.
Ty Gibbs is doing really well.
Yeah, shocked. I think a shocked person, probably Jody Logano, not in the top 10. That would probably be a shocked one for me.
Yeah.
And maybe even,
after all the playoff championships, I'm fine with Logano staying down there. So I'm perfectly fine with that. Because watching Logano win all those titles when he probably shouldn't have is fine with me. I want to pose a question to you because it's been talked about a lot this week. So I'm going to ask you, if you're Dodge and say you join the Cup Series next year, which that's what they want to do. I know Colleague is going to join them, right? But if you had your pick between RFK and Trackhouse, which one would you want? Because it's clear that neither of these two teams are going to get better under the Ford or Chevrolet camp, especially Trackhouse under the Chevrolet camp. Hell, even Richard Childress Racing, like any of those three teams, if you're Dodge and you get your pick of those three, who are you picking? Are you picking Trackhouse? Are you picking RFK? Are you picking Richard Childress? I know RFK is probably least likely. As long as Roush Fenway still has his hands in the pie, I don't think they'll leave Ford. But let's say there is a possibility. Hell, even
if you're Dodge, you would want RFK. If you're Dodge, based off their performance and how they're running, you would love to have them. I think realistically, it's probably going to be Trackhouse
or Spire.
Yeah,
maybe Spire, because Spire's trying to compete.
It depends how much you believe in them. If you believe in them, then because it's going to take you want somebody that's going to carry your brand.
And Colleague's not going to do that.
Yeah, exactly. So if you want people that can carry your brand, you obviously RFK would be the answer, but they're not going to leave Ford. But yeah, I would then go Trackhouse. That they can withstand, they can carry that brand, and they have that appeal.
Yes. And I think the other thing, somebody said it on Twitter. Somebody said Rick Hendrick needs to buy out Zilich and put him in the 48 next year because Bowman's going to be out for another 3 races. I don't. Yeah. It feels like because of this, Hendrick. I think Hendrick's going to give him a 1-year extension. I think he's going to give Bowman 1 more year because he kind of got like. Don't get me wrong. I don't think Bowman should be back next year, but you can't.
Sorry, keep talking.
You can't morally cut a guy that's been out for like 5 races. I don't know. Now Hendrick may still do it, which I trust me, as a guy that is a Jimmy Johnson fan, I want to see somebody else in the car, but I also understand that Bowman has not gotten a fair share. Really, the last couple seasons, he's had either like a concussion or, now he's got vertigo and he's going to be out another 3 races. His season's already done, and we're not even. I mean, he's
scroll down. Who are we looking at? Who's some of our trouble ones here? Obviously, Bowman, Zilich, the rookie, rookie issues. Austin Cindric, 30th. That's a little bit of a troublesome thing. Obviously, Briscoe's still making a little bit up there, right? Made up 7 positions. And then Kyle Busch sitting right there, 22nd. I know he was pissed off at the 5 car this past weekend that he was going to got ran into the wall, but that's the most Kyle Busch thing ever. And then Chastain, really. Honestly, that's another one that shocks me. Him being there in 20th. So, but yeah, hey, we go to the Lady in Black this week, man. We're going to Darlington. So, looking forward to that race and seeing kind of where we get there. I've got 2 names for you for Darlington. Don't be surprised if you get a repeat of Denny Hamlin, who owns Darlington. I got Denny Hamlin or William Byron to get in the winner's circle this week. Those are my 2 guys.
Those are some good picks. And Briscoe was talking about it in an interview. He said Darlington is going to be the hardest track of the year because nobody knows what to expect because of the new horsepower. He said somebody's going to get the setup right and they're going to be gone. So he could be wrong, but that's what he was saying. I think last week, heading into this race at Vegas, he said when we get to Darlington, it's probably going to be the most interesting race of the year because with the new horsepower, it is making things a little harder to drive. And obviously Darlington is one of the hardest places to drive. Man, I don't have a pick for Darlington. Darlington is so tough. I guess I will add Hamlin to my list. And then, man, I'm really itching to see Christopher Bell win one. So I'm going to put Bell back in my list again. And hopefully Bell can get it right. The TV deal. They took the money. They took money over the
Sunday.
I have no clue.
I don't know.
They did kind of so it's definitely true. Any thoughts before?
No, man, just looking forward to this weekend's race. Darlington, we've had a great first couple 4 races or so, 4 or 5, whatever it's been. But yeah, looking forward to the next one. We've got Formula One and IndyCar both off this week. So to this week's focus will be strictly on NASCAR. And I'm excited to get side by side going, my man. We've 2 down, working on the third one for next week.
Yeah, hopefully they stop messing with my Wi-Fi. I don't got to use my hotspot. So sorry for any issues you guys see in this video, but that is going to do it. We'll be back next week for another episode of Side by Side presented by the Game Time Network and Crossroads Sports.